Roger, thank you very much for inviting me. Actually, I would like to thank you, Rogers, Ellen, and Remy. It's your effort from last year that has managed me to attend this very good conference. And I think we have been here for almost 4 days now, and we know each other. But for those who have just arrived in this room, my name is Erastus Lufungulo. I'm the in charge of Kilimanjaro National Park. Yeah. First, I will start with the history of Kilimanjaro National Park. The park was established in 1973, and it was opened for public tourism in 1977. It was incorporated in the World Heritage as the Natural World Heritage Site in 1987. I can say tourism started early in 1889 when the German Hans Meyer managed to reach the peak of Kilimanjaro. We call it Kibo or Uhuru Peak. The opening of tourism in 1977, it was just a continuation of Hans Meyer's conquering the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro. I would like to just to tell you the beauty of Kilimanjaro, Mount Kilimanjaro. For a few days, I've been here in the American Mountaineering Club Center. They have a museum. What I saw there, almost 90% of the posters is about Everest. I think that could be now corrected. We have very beautiful mountains all over the world. Even Kilimanjaro should be there. Just I picked one page in the museum talking about bad information about Kilimanjaro. That I think we have very, very good things about Mount Kilimanjaro also. And also I want to let you know that sometimes there is a confusion that Mount Kilimanjaro is in Kenya. No, Mount Kilimanjaro is in Tanzania. Please know that. So, Kilimanjaro is the highest point in Africa. And again, is a largest freestanding volcanic mountain mass in the world that should be appear in the American Mountaineering Museum. That this mountain stands alone, just from the sea level up to that 5,895 meters above the sea level. Sometimes we call it an island in the sky. Or you see, the Himalayas are in ranges. They are not freestanding. On Mount Kilimanjaro, the oxygen after 3,000 meters is almost 50% compared to the low down the sea level. And there is a permanent snow You can see that point is very near to the equator, but there is permanent snow throughout the year. What do you experience when climbing Mount Kilimanjaro? I'm sure some of you have climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and I invite those who have not yet climbed and have experience now from me. In 5 days, climb of Mount Kilimanjaro take you a tour of the world from the equator to the Arctic. That you'll pass through the savanna, through the montane forest, low alpine, heath, and the moorland, alpine desert, snowfield, and the glaciers. That is a very good experience climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. That's why many people are coming to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And also it is one of the world's accessible high summit. You can reach the peak with little equipment, more than these walking sticks. You don't need technical equipment to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Tourism on Mount Kilimanjaro. I know after this presentation, people were asking me many questions about there are so many tourists, Kilimanjaro is overloaded. Now I'm going to explain, then at the end you can get the answer if the mountain is overclouded. Mount Kilimanjaro is a famous tourism destination. Now is attracting over 50 visitors and 200,000 mountain crews. That include guides and porters every year. Yes, we want these tourists now because it's a source of income, source of employment, and a source of other businesses. But despite these positive impacts from tourism, tourism also results in the creation of both solid and fluid wastes, which have direct and indirect negative impact to this beautiful resource, the mountain. Okay, here I'm just trying to explain the number of tourists for past 10 years. Can you just go to the, yeah, that is the statistics. You can see from 2003 and 4 to 2012 and 13, there is a huge increase of tourists. In 2003, almost we have 25,000 tourists. But in 2012-13, we received about 50, it was like 56,000 tourists. Let me explain how this number of tourists are distributed over the Mount Kilimanjaro. Of these 50,000 tourists, there is an average of 3 mountain cruise per 1 tourist. In high season, I mean July to August, there is an average of 250 visitors per day going or hiking the mountain. But this number is distributed in 5 mountain routes, although not evenly distributed. I mean, you can find one route with 20, one route with 50. Other route like Machame can have 100 or 200 per day, sometime in the high season. The number of tourists reached the peak in the average of 220 per 1 day at the peak. But because these people they cannot walk in the same pace, so they go in small groups, some groups of 20, some groups of 5. Not all of them, 220, reach the peak at the same time. Also, the size of the peak is about 20,000 meters squared, but the current one in use is just 100 meters square. Also want to mention somebody talked a few days ago is talking about the use of firewood over the Mount Kilimanjaro. This practice has been prohibited since 1992, and the environment of the Mount Kilimanjaro is currently very healthy. The montane forest is now very dark. Even the heath, they're in good condition. Currently, we have reviewed the tourism program for the mountain, and we have proposed the limits of acceptable use. We expect to be approved soon. Then we are going to put limits on the number of people climbing the mountain per route. My major point here, I was just trying to explain what is happening in terms of tourism on Mount Kilimanjaro. Now, what I wanted to talk to you is about waste management, and particularly the solid waste. When I say solid waste, does it mean that we don't deal with human wastes? It is there, and it is a problem. Yeah, you know, when there is littering or trashes on the mountain or anywhere, there should be some negative impact in terms of pollution of air, soil, and the water, contamination of surface and groundwater, impairment of beauty, and an ISO to the user of the mountain, especially in recreational activities. So, on Mount Kilimanjaro, in dealing with solid wastes, we have almost the same methods that has been here presented by several presenters. For example, leave no trace, and other ways. Here in Kilimanjaro, we do what we call trash in, trash out. In short, we call it Tito. This strategy was developed together with other mountain users, I mean the tour operators, guides, porters, Mount Kilimanjaro staff, and the other stakeholders in 2001, and it was agreed by all stakeholders that could be the best way to deal with wastes for Kilimanjaro mountain. Then what followed is legalization by the government of the Republic of Tanzania on the Mountain National Park regulation that the government put on the hand to enforce the strategy of cleaning the Mount Kilimanjaro in 2003. Then how do we do this? All wastes generated while hiking the mountain must be brought down by guides and the porters when descending. Actually, we have 6 mountain routes, but you descend only on 2 routes. So it is very easy for us to make a follow-up for every climber to make sure that they're coming down with the wastes. And also we don't allow bottled water below 1 liter and the other polythene bags over the mountain. We inspect them at the entrance gate, and we have to check most all the solid materials like containers, can containers, bottles, polythene paper, and others. And during the climbing, which point before the morning when they start walking to another point, the guide of the group have to weigh all the wastes that has been generated, and there is a form to fill in and sign it. So with this method, we still observed some traces of wastes, of solid wastes on the routes and around the camping area. Although it was so much, or it was not that much compared before the time of establishing this Tito, we normally carry out the monitoring and the evaluation. For example, the following evaluation were done to see the efficiency, awareness, and if there is any difficulty in the implementation of Tito. And this evaluation was done by using the guides and the porters. So for the efficiency, what we did is to sample mountain users, mountain user groups. And you just do it randomly. Then you follow them, assess them, without them having a knowledge that you are tracing them. And at the end of the trekking, at the end of the hiking, you assess the performance on trashing, on taking out the trashes. In 2004, Tito was found to be 86.7 efficient. And in 2006, Tito was found to be 94 efficient. Last year, the efficiency dropped to 74%. That was a bit striking. So our ecologist then, he said, I don't know what is happening. Maybe there is something wrong. We can talk with the people who are implementing, I mean the guides and the porters, if there is any problem of implementing Tito. So we tested their awareness, and if there is any problem in implementing this strategy. The evaluation of awareness was also conducted between guides and the porters. These are the results. 84.8% of guides and the porters indicated to know the existence of Tito as a strategy of cleaning the mountain. I mean, they were aware that Tito is there and they are supposed to implement it and that it is good for the mountain. The remaining 15.2% indicate that they have no idea, actually, even the existence of Tito. Then we continued for this 84.8 because they are aware that Tito is there. Why again we still observe traces of litters and trashes? This is to see the difficulty in implementing the trash in and trash out. Among the guides and porters who know the existence of Tito, 55% of them said that Tito was very difficult to implement because there are so many reasons. And one of these reasons, like maybe Dawa communicated with them. They said, we need motivation, we need to be paid for this. Dawa, sorry, I just trying to joke about, because they wanted to be paid, so to motivate them. But some, they said, while climbing the mountain, we use a lot of energies. It is exhaustive. We cannot carry wastes. And they said the weather is so terrible. Sometimes it rains, and we cannot have many things carrying in our hands. So, what we found as the management of Kilimanjaro National Park, that yes, Tito is sometimes effective, but it is not total 100% effective. It is still a challenge, and we are looking for other methods to make sure the wastes, the mountain, remain clean. And from this workshop, we have a lot of experiences. Some of them we can adapt in Kilimanjaro National Park. We are going to try to adapt them as maybe a combination, using a combination of methods to clean the mountain. We have other challenges, dealing with human waste. I have seen many people are talking about human waste. Kilimanjaro also, we have the same problem. Actually, we have 5 or 6 routes. Among 6, one has got accommodation huts, where we have a structure like building with accommodation inside, but on the camping routes, each point have toilets, constructed toilet. I think is very different from Everest and other places that you camp, there is no toilets. But there we have tried to design different spaces, different types of toilet, and we are changing them as time going on, because we are facing a lot of problems. Now, what we have, a toilet, we call it U-class. That kind of toilet is like pit toilet, but with a huge hole down where the human wastes go, but there is a door somewhere. When it is full, you just pour in water. You stir them until they become liquid. Then you dig a trench that goes somewhere where there is another big hole. When they become liquid, you open this door. These wastes go down to following the trench to the hole, and then you cover that hole with soil. But I think we still see there is environmental issue to solve, because what we have seen, first, when these human wastes are in the trench, we have wildlife there. We have rats, we have birds. Sometimes they pick these wastes and they distribute somewhere. And Mount Kilimanjaro is a source of water in the country. So we are still worried that these wastes can pollute the water from Mount Kilimanjaro. And actually, our ecologists have a program of carrying out studies of the status of source of water from the Mount Kilimanjaro. And most of these water sources which found around the camping area have a lot of coliforms. So we still have a challenge on human wastes. And we found another technology of toilet. We are still discussing it. It is from South Korea. They call it bioremediation toilet. This toilet recycle all the human wastes and they change them into water. And you don't need water again, because the same water can go for flushing, can go for cleaning. We went to Korea and they saw it. We still have a challenge on this toilet. First, it's very expensive. And again, we are not sure because it needs energy, electricity. And on Mount Kilimanjaro, we don't have electricity. We depend on solar power. We have been using solar power for a long time. We experience a lot of problems sometimes. It's a new technology, let's say, of using solar in our country. So we are still in doubt if this kind of technology can work on Mount Kilimanjaro. And at the same time, this degrading of human waste uses a kind of species of bacteria or microorganism. we are not sure if this microorganism can exist over Mount Kilimanjaro. Actually, with this problem of power, because in Korea they have enough power. That's why this kind of toilet is working very well there. So human waste is still also a problem on Mount Kilimanjaro, but for the time being, the facility we are using, it is serving the purpose, and our tourists, our customers, they don't need to carry out the human waste. We have facility to store the human waste over the mountain, and we still bury them in the soil, cover them with soil. But again, it should be a problem maybe in the future. So, okay, thank you for listening me.
Any questions for Erastus?
Okay, what I understand from your question, that along the mount climbing route, there are still signs of toilet papers, which means people are not using the available toilet. Yeah. Myself, I climb the mountain almost every month to see the services, the facilities, and what is happening there. It is true, the toilet on the way through when you are climbing the mountain, the toilet are not in good condition. That's why some tourists, they decide to go to help themselves aside like 10 meters, right side and left side. But for this time, I'm putting a lot of efforts to improve the points of toilet while you are climbing the mountain. And we are trying to, because when you have a dead toilet, it scares the user to use it. So that's what some people, they can say to go outside in the bush. So we are working on it to improve the toilet along the routes. Thank you.